This morning, an update on the Bishop of Broome questioned for the first time over abuse claims. The federal government's multi-million-dollar investment to boost Australia's arsenal, and hitting the ground running, Queen Mary in her new royal role.
This is 7 Morning News, live from Perth, with Tina Altieri.
Good morning, thanks for your company. New details have come to light about the historic sex crimes investigation into Broome Bishop Christopher Saunders. The Special Crime Squad is leading the investigation titled Operation Stent. It was opened after a top-secret Vatican probe ordered by Pope Francis levelled grooming allegations at him. Officers from the Child Abuse Squad raided Saunders' former home in Broome yesterday, while detectives questioned him here in Perth. Saunders is no longer in custody and has not been charged. A woman in her 30s has been hurt after being hit by a car while riding an e-scooter. It happened in Gosnells on Dorothy Street about 8 last night. The woman was taken to Royal Perth Hospital for treatment. She's still there this morning and her condition is listed as stable. Well, the federal government has taken a crucial step forward in its bid to create a domestic missile manufacturing industry. Defence has signed a multi-million-dollar contract with US weapons giant Lockheed Martin. Rob Scott reports from Canberra.
This agreement will see the first batch of what's known as guided multiple launch rocket system missiles produced locally from next year. It's an important move towards establishing domestic missile manufacturing on a much larger scale. These rockets can be fired from truck-mounted HIMARS launchers with deadly efficiency. The $37 million contract paves the way for the transfer of technical data from the United States to Australia and helps to build up the technical skills of a local workforce. And the need for an Australian missile industry was identified as a priority by the recent Defence Strategic Review, making us less reliant on imports from our allies, whose stocks were seriously depleted when war broke out in Ukraine.
As you all know, anyone who's witnessed recent conflicts, we live in the missile age, and we've been very clear upon coming to government that the Australian Defence Force needed to increase its ability to hold potential adversaries at arm's length.
With plans underway to acquire long-range strike missiles which can engage targets from 500 kilometres, the Minister has also announced a new Army division will be created. The first long-range fires regiment will be established in 2030. That's 7 years ahead of previous plans. This gives you an idea of the urgency needed to harden our defences.
We're in for a scorcher here in Perth today with a hot top of 41 degrees. It will be the second time in less than a week that Perth has reached 40 degrees. The high humidity comes from tropical air in the northern parts of WA that are heading south. Locals can expect storms this afternoon and possibly into the evening. A severe heat wave warning remains in place. The hot weather is expected to end tomorrow with a much cooler top of 32 degrees predicted. One of Perth's biggest eyesores, the Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre, is set to be transformed as part of a new proposal for Perth's waterfront. These plans include a floating theatre and a bridge to Elizabeth Quay.
If we are going to attract prosperous business events to Perth, we need to continue to upgrade the facilities we make available to them.
The state government is asking long-term leaseholders Wiley and Brookfield to develop a formal business case to be ready by the middle of the year. That's expected to include a price tag, funding details, as well as a construction timeline. 2 teenage boys have been killed and the 17-year-old driver injured after their car crashed into a pole in Sydney's northwest. Amy Clements reports.
Well, it was here at McGrath's Hill just before 10 o'clock last night that a car travelling with 3 teenage boys left the road and collided with a power pole. When emergency services arrived, they found 2 critically injured male passengers. The pair died at the scene. The driver of the Nissan 200 SX, a 17-year-old boy, was treated for chest and internal injuries. Friends this morning laid flowers at the crash scene to pay tribute to the 2 boys who lost their lives.
He was a really nice kid, always shy. He'd always smiling. One of the happiest kids I've ever hung around, I think.
You know, they were good boys. We'd hang out with them all the time. You know, and it's really unfortunate what's happened to them.
It's just hit me here now.
knowing that I was with them on the weekend. I stayed at one of their houses.
Police believe the Nissan and a Ford Falcon allegedly collided immediately before the Nissan left the road and struck the pole. The driver of the Falcon stopped and called 000. He was taken for mandatory testing.
The last 24 hours we've seen 4 major collisions on our roads. That has resulted in the death of 5 people.
The driver of the Nissan is now in a stable condition at Westmead Hospital.
Former AFL player-manager Ricky Nixon is facing more drama with a warrant issued for his arrest. Mr Nixon was due to appear in court yesterday on fraud charges, but failed to show and was unable to be contacted. His charges are in relation to the alleged sale of fake commemorative footballs he said were signed by Melbourne players. Police are now searching for the 60-year-old. A man has been charged for allegedly spray painting offensive messages and setting off a flare at a Woolworths in Brisbane. The 40-year-old man was arrested last night, charged with 1 count of willful damage and willful damage by graffiti. He'll face court at the end of February. Republicans in the US will cast their votes in the Iowa caucus today, with voters being told to brave the freezing conditions. As Miley Hogan reports, it's a cold start to the election race.
Well, in just a few hours, people in Iowa will head out into these conditions to cast the very first votes of the 2024 election race. At the moment, Iowa is being swept by an Arctic blast. It's around -20 at the moment, but it is expected to get much colder than that tonight, when people will need to go out into the conditions to head to those caucus locations. A low with the wind chill of -40 degrees Celsius is forecast.
It certainly is going to be cold. There's no question about that, and we want people to be careful. And but I think we'll see strong turnouts.
At this stage, the former President Donald Trump has a commanding lead, and if the polls are right, then he is on track to set a record, to break the Republican record for the largest victory margin in the history of the Iowa caucus.
Let's see if we can get to 50%.
His 2 closest rivals, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, are likely battling it out for second place. They are hoping that this weather benefits them and that Donald Trump supporters stay home and their supporters turn up, which would help boost their campaigns.
I'm running on your issues and your family's issues, and slowly to turn this country around.
We have an option to either go back to the past and deal with the names of Trump and Biden in the past, or we can go forward in the future.
Winning the Iowa caucus does not necessarily mean that you will go on to be the presidential nominee and the Republican candidate that will then take on Joe Biden. But what it does do is give a campaign momentum, energy, and also money to help them maintain their campaign right through till the end.
Well, the 75th Emmy Awards are now underway, with the stars walking the red carpet in Los Angeles. Australia's Sarah Snook and Elizabeth Debicki are both nominated for their small screen roles after a successful awards season so far. Jacqueline Robson is there.
Good morning. Well, the red carpet is in full swing for TV's Night of Nights. After being postponed last year due to the writers' and actors' strike, the Emmys are back celebrating the small screen. Our Aussie Succession star Sarah Snook is the hot favourite to win Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series for her role as Shiv Roy. She's up against stars like Elizabeth Moss in The Handmaid's Tale and Bella Ramsey in The Last of Us, but the bookies have the Adelaide sensation as the frontrunner. Succession is leading the nominations with 27 nods, including Best Drama, looking to take a 3rd Emmy tonight. Melbourne's Elizabeth Debicki is nominated for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series for The Crown, but facing stiff competition from Jennifer Coolidge in The White Lotus. And keep an eye out for Sydney guy Murray Bartlett, who already has an Emmy for his White Lotus performance, but is tonight nominated for Best Supporting Role in a limited series for Welcome to the Chippendales. All eyes are on who will take out Outstanding Comedy Series. The Bear is the favourite, up against Ted Lasso and Wednesday. Comedian Anthony Anderson is hosting, so expect some gaffes about the celebrities tonight in what is TV's biggest night.
You're watching 7's Morning News live from Perth. Still to come, the moment a US trooper puts his body on the line to save a young girl from a frozen pond. And hitting the ground running, Queen Mary in her new royal role.
On 7 News, petrol versus electric. Two cars put to the test, head-to-head for 900 kilometres. Cost, travel time, refuelling and recharging. The surprise results, only on 7 News at 6.
Welcome back. Former Premier Mark McGowan has made $1 million on his beachfront Rockingham home. The secret buyer snapped up the property for just over $1.6 million. The new owner says she's a fan of Mark McGowan but purchased the home because it suits her needs. It's understood the McGowans recently moved to the Fremantle area. Houthi rebels have struck a US-owned container ship with a ballistic missile off the coast of Yemen overnight. US officials confirming the attack. Europe correspondent Ashley Mullaney reports.
A troubling development tonight in the Red Sea with yet another missile fired at a US container ship. The US Central Command confirming tonight Iranian-backed Houthi militants fired an anti-ship ballistic missile from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen and struck the MV Gibraltar Eagle. That is a US-owned and operated container ship. The ship, they say, has reported no injuries or significant damage and is continuing its journey. But this is the second missile strike by the Houthis in as many days. Yesterday, they fired on a US destroyer. Clearly, these Iranian-backed rebels, undeterred by recent US and UK airstrikes. Rishi Sunak defending the UK's actions, saying that those strikes were in self-defence and to secure freedom of navigation. Both the US and UK governments are not ruling out further strikes in Yemen if aggression like this continues from the Houthi rebels. All of this coming as Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong prepares to touch down in the Middle East, first to Jordan for high-level talks, then to Israel, with tensions flaring on every front.
Body cam footage has captured the moment a US trooper rescues an 8-year-old who'd fallen through the ice of a frozen pond. The officer swimming through the icy water before pulling the girl to safety. She was taken to hospital and has since made a full recovery. Thousands of farmers have gathered in Berlin to protest a new plan to scrap diesel tax breaks. With their tractors, they formed a massive column from the Brandenburg Gate. It follows a week of demonstrations from the farmers, which saw highway entrances blocked and traffic stopped by protesters. Well, Queen Mary of Denmark was reportedly moved to tears on the first day of her new job as an all-girls choir sang for the royal couple. As Hugh Whitfeld reports, the pair went straight to work within hours of ascending the throne.
Their Majesties returning here to Christiansborg, the Danish Parliament, for the first full day of the reign of Frederick X. It was a snowy and freezing day here in the Danish capital as the King and Queen Mary arrived along with their eldest son, Crown Prince Christian. It was a family affair as well. Prince Joachim is Frederick's younger brother. It seems as though that a rift between him and the rest of the family after his children were stripped of their princely titles is being healed. He is back in the fold. Queen Margrethe here as well. It seems as though she's going to take on somewhat of a Queen Mother style role. And in fact, today was the first time that Queen Mary didn't have to curtsy to Queen Margrethe because they are now equals. They are now both queens. Inside the debating chamber, the King and Queen were presented to the Danish MPs.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
9 traditional Danish hurrahs from the parliamentarians. That's the equivalent of 3 cheers that we are normally used to. The Speaker praising Australian-born Mary as the King's wise and composed wife. And here's a behind-the-scenes look at what Proclamation Day was like for this family. They largely kept it together. Mary and the 4 children watching on from inside the throne room as Frederick stepped onto the balcony to be proclaimed king before Queen Mary joined him, of course. And what was an emotional day for King Frederick. He was seen to be shedding a few tears. A big 24 hours for that family, those 4 teenage children, of course, as well, and a big couple of days here in Denmark.
Thanks, Hugh. Stay with us here on 7 Sport is coming up right after the break, including an Aussie young gun embracing the opportunity at number 4 ahead of tomorrow's first test. And Alex de Minaur is through to the second round of the Australian Open.
This summer, when big news events happen, turn to 7 News.
The pictures out of Haneda Airport are extraordinary.
Right across this holiday season.
Australian actors produced a gold rush. 7 News will bring you the news when it happens.
To always keep you in the know.
Be first to know with 7 News.
Welcome back. Australia and West Indies finish preparations today for a series of reinvention for both proud Test teams. Focus will be on all-rounder Cameron Green's move from the middle order to number 4, where he's thrived for Western Australia.
Always felt maybe a touch rushed at 6, especially after Heady. He makes it look a bit too easy at number 5. So, I've always felt like I've maybe had to push the game along, where I feel like number 4 is my natural game, where I can take my time and settle in.
The West Indies have a new look squad here to prove they're still serious about Test cricket. The Melbourne Stars have ended another disappointing Big Bash season. Hobart Hurricanes made 8 for 187. Player of the match, Nathan Ellis, smashed 16 off the last over before almost taking an incredible body-sacrificing catch.
But Ellis going hard. Oh, no. It's been a magnificent catch as he hurt himself. And then the landing. Oh, yeah, that's going to hurt.
Ellis still took 2 for 29, including Glenn Maxwell for 32. The Stars lost by 7 runs. Tonight, Perth Scorchers and Sydney Sixers play for second place. Well, Alex de Minaur advanced to the second round of the Australian Open after Canadian Milos Raonic retired early with a hip injury. With his legendary serve tormenting the Demon, Raonic won the first set despite needing a medical timeout. Australia's world number 10 fought back to win the second. He was 2-love up in the third when the 2-time semi-finalist just couldn't continue.
Develop a more aggressive playing style, and I think that's what's been getting me the wins against the top players, and obviously gives me a lot of confidence knowing that I can do this.
22-year-old Aussie Rinky Hijikata lost to German Jan-Lennard Struff in 5 sets, 10-8 in a deciding tiebreak. Naomi Osaka returned after 18 months, and having her daughter, the Japanese megastar, was defeated by 16th seed Caroline Garcia, 6-4, 7-6.
Who are you to think that you can come back and immediately start winning matches? But I don't know. I kind of always expect myself to stand a chance anyways.
Jordan Thompson beat fellow Aussie Alex Vukic in 5. Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime hit some astonishing winners to beat Dominic Thiem in a classic 5-setter. West Coast Eagles have a big injury concern with star forward Liam Ryan. He only played 3 games in 2023 due to a hamstring injury. He appeared to suffer a new one at training.
We'll get the scans today. I haven't seen him since he got off the track, so it's the other one than the one he had surgery on.
The Bulldogs' All-Australian ruckman Tim English is restricted due to undisclosed illness. I'll have all of your weather details next on 7's Morning News. See you right after the break.
I know you can win. You know you can win. There is nothing stopping you. It's fast.
Yes.
It's free.
Yes.
It's easy to play.
Free cricket tipping. Big prizes. Get a taste of victory this summer at thegame.com.au. On 7 News, petrol versus electric. 2 cars put to the test. Head-to-head for 900 kilometres. Cost, travel time, refuelling and recharging. The surprise results. Only on 7 News at 6.
Checking the weather details for you now. Currently 35 degrees already in our city. We're expecting to reach 41 degrees with a chance of a storm or 2 this afternoon or evening. Looking at the forecast for the suburbs, 40 degrees and winds easing in Armidale. A possible storm for Mandurah reaching 39 degrees along our coast. And it's mostly sunny and 33 on Roddo. There is some relief on the way. Good news, a big drop down to 32 degrees tomorrow, then 28 degrees on Thursday and Friday. Blue skies and 31 on Saturday, and then 29 degrees to round out our weekend. And that is 7's morning news for this Tuesday. Thanks so much for your company. Stay with us. We'll have the very latest updates right across the afternoon and, of course, in our main bulletins at 4 and then at 6 o'clock. I'm Tina Altieri. Enjoy the rest of your day.